Right now on 10 News at 11.
The USNS Mercy is back home here in San Diego. Why the crew said this mission in Los Angeles was unlike any other. Plus, the House passes a $3 trillion stimulus bill. Why it may never get into the hands of Americans. New video from inside the cockpit from today's Air Force Thunderbird flyover. And the Santee DriveIn back open just in time for the weekend. The big crowd eager to get out to the movies.
Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
I can tell you the crew has been tremendously enthusiastic from start to finish about the job that we did in Los Angeles.
The USNS Mercy is back in its home port tonight, traveling most of the day back from its mission in Los Angeles. Good evening, I'm Kimberly Hunt. And our 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo was there for the Mercy's homecoming and shows how the crew feels about their work during this pandemic.
Pulling into the San Diego Bay, the USNS Mercy made her way back to her home port at Naval Base Coronado after a 2-month mission in Los Angeles.
You know, I think that's always very heartwarming for us, especially seeing it from the vantage point of coming in from Point Loma and in through the bay.
The ship and her crew sent to serve as a relief valve for hospitals in Los Angeles, aiming to free up beds by treating non-COVID-19 cases on board.
We are just a regular hospital. We just happen to be on a big white ship.
While in Los Angeles, the crew treated a total of 77 patients on board the ship for a number of different procedures, including a pacemaker replacement.
The patient got the care they needed at the end of the day. Completely successful, no complications or concerns.
During their mission, 7 crew members did test positive for COVID-19 and had to be moved off the ship. This was the Mercy's first domestic mission.
No ordinary group of people would ever come together and try to stand up a hospital in 5 days. But I'm thankful that the men and women of the U.S. Navy are not ordinary, they are extraordinary, and they were able to do it.
From Naval Base Coronado, Laura Acevedo, 10 News.
The House passed the Democrats' new $3 trillion coronavirus relief bill. It would include another batch of $1,200 payments to many Americans and $1 trillion in relief for state, local, and tribal governments. It also expands programs for prisons, the post office, and immigration. Republicans say it will be dead on arrival in the Senate. And more than 87,000 people have died from COVID-19 in this country. But the latest estimates from the CDC show a grim milestone by the start of June. As ABC's Marcy Gonzalez reports, cases keep rising as states continue to reopen.
The head of the CDC projecting there will be at least 100,000 deaths from COVID-19 in this country by the start of June, as restrictions are eased in all but 2 states. None of them reporting meeting the Phase 1 recommendation of consecutive 14-day drops in new cases. And in 4 of those states, infections are on the rise. Texas had its deadliest 48 hours yet, just 2 weeks after allowing businesses to reopen. In hardest hit New York, a barber near the Catskills who stayed open in defiance of state orders, testing positive for the virus, and according to officials, spreading it to some of his customers.
Infected, I think, over a dozen people. You can't really socially distance and do a haircut.
Some parts of that state now reopening, allowing construction, manufacturing, and limited retail. This park in Brooklyn marked off to help enforce social distancing. And beaches in New York and 3 other northeastern states now set to be open again by Memorial Day.
Got a lot of businesses that's losing money. People ain't working. I think it should be open, wear your face mask, and open.
President Trump reiterating he is determined to quickly get the country open again. And as some experts question this timeline, the president highlighting efforts to have a COVID-19 vaccine tested and manufactured for millions by the end of this year.
We'll be saving massive amounts of time. We'll be saving years if we do this properly, and that's what we're doing. So we're gearing up on the assumption that we'll have, in the near future, relatively near future, a vaccine.
Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
The FDA says the coronavirus test used by the White House and elsewhere around the country could be giving some faulty results. At issue is the Abbott ID Rapid test. The FDA says it's looking into more than a dozen reports. The tests are producing some false negatives. Abbott is disputing those findings. It says the test has performed well in various studies and results are affected by sample size and how it's collected. For now, the FDA is working with the company and says the tests are still safe to use. The CDC is now issuing a health alert about the mysterious condition showing up in the youngest coronavirus patients. They're calling it MISC, which stands for Multi-System Inflammatory Syndrome in children. The alert from the CDC includes a list of symptoms for doctors to diagnose the condition. Patients who have the coronavirus will also have a fever of 100.4 or higher and evidence of inflammation in at least 2 organs. And here now is a look at the latest coronavirus numbers in our county. 132 new cases were reported today, bringing our total to 5,523. The county also reported 8 additional deaths, raising the total to 208. San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer says we are getting back some of our neighborhood parking lots.
Starting on Monday, we will begin the gradual reopening of parking lots in all neighborhood parks to that half capacity mark. We are going to be making those changes throughout the week, so I expect them to fully be in place by the end of next week. Of course, encourage everybody to walk to their neighborhood park, be active, walk around, go for a jog, of course, all being out there, being active, but please remember to do so by practicing physical distancing and wearing a face covering.
The openings do not include large regional parks. Specifically, the mayor says the parking lots at Balboa Park and Mission Bay will remain closed. And more than 300 students have been tested during the first week of UC San Diego's new program. The university hopes to test up to 5,000 undergraduates in hopes of reopening the campus this fall. Students must volunteer for self-administered tests. It could expand to all 65,000 students, faculty, and staff before September. The county is adding more sites for people to get tested for COVID-19.
We can handle 132 appointments per lane. These are walk-ups, and they run from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We have 2 lanes in Escondido. We have 2 lanes in Chula Vista. We're expanding 1 lane from the Grossmont to El Cajon at the assessor's office, and the other lane, as Supervisor Fletcher mentioned, will be going to our Tubman Chavez Center starting next week.
Yes, the new walk-in testing site is at the Tubman Chavez Center on Euclid Avenue. It will open next Tuesday. There's also free testing at the Euclid Health Clinic every Saturday for the foreseeable future. To make an appointment at that site, call 211.
Something we can finally do now that things are opened up, and we're just excited to get out of the house.
Friday night at the movies is back. The Santee DriveIn Theater reopened tonight, giving families a new option during the pandemic. 10 News reporter Anthony Pura is in Santee, where many came looking for a sense of normalcy.
The Santee DriveIn Theater got the green light to reopen on Wednesday, and they didn't waste any time getting the movies back up on the screen. The turnout tonight showed there was a lot of demand for it.
These are the good times.
This reopening was more of a rewinding to a time that seemed so long ago when families could go out on a Friday night. The Dietz family experiencing that feeling again.
Well, we saw the drive-in theater was open and decided to make a night of it, and excited to get back to doing something normal.
This is the first time families have returned to the Santee Drive-In Theater since it closed on March 10th because of the pandemic.
It feels great.
Owner Mike Long says one of their appeals was the taste of the past.
Yeah, good times.
Mostly nostalgia. I guess we're a counterculture item now, but they enjoy the drive-in.
But now it's one of the few ways to escape the present.
For a while, it's going to be the place to go. Even when the indoor houses open back up, I'm hoping that they will still come out to the drive-in just simply because it's you're not setting close to anybody.
Even here, it's not hard to see the effects of the current situation. Cars parked every other space, people asked to wear face covers if they step outside, and the snack bar remains closed.
No snack bar. They do have amazing food, but we brought our food. Just very happy to be out of the house.
Just, being able to go out and do normal things and get massages.
But until then, getting back this pastime is a welcome option going forward out of the pandemic.
The owner says they furloughed 10 employees when they shut down because of the pandemic. They were able to bring 6 of them back. In Santee, Anthony Pura, 10 News.
The owner says they opened in 1958, and the only other time they've closed was due to a wildfire in the East County.